I began my career in heritage interpretation and resource protection, actually with the state of Arkansas, with Arkansas State Parks. And my first job was as a park interpreter at a National Historic Landmark that's managed as a state park, Park and Archaeological State Park. And when I began that job, I had a degree in communications, which is great for being able to talk to the public, and journalism, being able to do research and put a story together and be able to present facts to people. That was great background for that. But as so often happens at both the state and federal and small museums as well, local museums, private nonprofits, you are both the resource manager and the public interpreter. And I had to learn how to also care for the collections at that park and to work with it was an ongoing archaeological site with active excavations going on. So working with a professional archaeologist, interpreting their work to the public, making sure we weren't interfering with that work. And that park opened just as the Native American Graves Protection and Repatriation Act came into law. And so being aware, again, the civil rights movement's been a theme throughout my life, and realizing that we were interpreting the heritage of American Indians and their ancestors who had once lived at this site, and considering what their regard for this site, what it meant to them, what was respectful to their ancestors in terms of a site that is now publicly owned but is their past, and is being shown to the public, and doing that in a respectful way. And I realized that my journalism degree hadn't prepared me for that. I was fortunate to work with professionals from the Arkansas Archaeological Survey, professionals with our Arkansas State Parks, museums, and exhibit shop, who did know how to properly display an artifact in a way that also preserved it and protected it, with lighting conditions, with making sure it was stable. We were in an area that was on a fault line, and so making sure everything, if there's an earthquake, is not going to fall and shatter inside a display case. Making sure we weren't displaying things that might have been culturally offensive to people of American Indian heritage. And so there were a lot of factors that I had to learn, and it actually led to me going to graduate school and getting a degree in anthropology, doing volunteer work with the Arkansas Archaeological Society to get more hands-on training and understanding archaeology. But I particularly became interested in oral history and ethnography, and talking to people that we were telling the history of, and learning more about it from their perspective. And again, making sure we were able to share it with people of any culture and background, but doing it in a way that was respectful to the people who are closest to that history and to that heritage. So I learned immediately, just beginning my career in heritage interpretation and historic sites that are open to the public, that it is lifelong learning. You never stop being trained. You never stop learning how to take care of the next object, because there's no single course that you can take or degree that you can study for that tells you how to take care of everything, because every site has its own environmental conditions. Every site has its unique stakeholders who are deeply attached to the history of that site and have their own heritage concerns about it. And every site has its own budgeting challenges, legislative challenges, regulations, and rules that they have to follow. So I learned that from the beginning of my career. It never gets any easier, because now you're trying to do multiple jobs. At the same time, you're also trying to continually educate yourself. One of the wonderful things is people who go into heritage management, is a phrase that's often used today, is that we do it because we have a passion for preserving those stories and telling them, and often, fortunately, financial compensation is not our highest priority, but we do have that passion for wanting to do it right. They're doing it to the best of our abilities and resources. So it is a profession that people share what they know, and they're willing to help and assist each other. And one of the first things you have to learn is you keep calling until you find the person who has the answer to your question. You keep looking for those opportunities to get training and volunteering to help out another site that may have a project. The superintendent that I'm worked with now was among many national park staff who volunteered after Hurricane Katrina to go into the Gulf Coast region and work on preserving resources, securing resources, as well as helping the people that were there. And there are opportunities like that that you learn from everything that's not done right, or from every disaster that occurs, how to better prepare for the next one and prevent the loss of these heritage resources and prevent the loss of the stories.